My name is Nikki Marker, and I interviewed 4 guys and 4 girls, asking them 3 different questions regarding women's issues. The first question that I asked is, what do you think of when you think of women's issues?
Women in the workplace, so like childcare, women in politics.
Just women's rights movements like equal pay, equal like voting rights, and most recently like the Roe v. Wade and abortion rights.
Maternity, like when women have like children, they kind of have to go like not right back to work, but I don't think they have like nearly enough time.
I think of equal pay and women's rights to their bodies for abortions, and I think of how women and men are just treated differently altogether.
I think of abortion, women's rights, what else? The wage gap.
The equal rights pay, just like home issues where like there's like the higher authority over like male over female.
Women's issues is right now with sports. Obviously, it's apparent that more people view and not really appreciate, but spend more time watching men's basketball, men's football, pretty much all men's sports. One thing I think that can be solved with that is there should be more women's participation in viewing.
Mind is the things that just affect women predominantly. Things like rape, sexual assault, breast cancer, all that kind of comes to mind when I think.
The second question that I asked is, how do you think most people view women's issues, and what do you personally think about them?
But I think for me, it's relevant to me, obviously, but I'm not like a active, in your face about it, I guess. So they matter, but I think that with the media, it just is a lot of it's being blown out of proportion.
Today, women, especially my age, are about empowering women, but empowering women to be above men. And I don't think that women should be above men. I don't think that men should be above women. I think that we're all created with the same value and dignity as human beings, and therefore we shouldn't be treated differently.
Popular, but I think they're a lot more talked about nowadays, and a lot more people are aware of what's going on than they used to be. But personally, if the whole basis of the argument is equality, then that should be just where it is. As far as, everyone has their issues, and we should do everything to bring everyone up, not just men and women, but just humans in general.
I'd say in Tennessee, most people think that women's issues are different. They think women are treated fine, but I think that women are treated way worse than men, and they shouldn't. Gender shouldn't play an issue in that, and women and men should be treated equally. That's really important because we both deserve equality.
I believe most people agree, at least in the South, that there is a difference between a man and a woman, and God has separated those by giving you different body parts. And what I believe is the same, that obviously there's going to be different issues for different genders because they're different people and built different.
People, men always see women as less in some occasions, home, I guess it's what I'm trying to say, in home levels, the dad's always above the mom is what most people make it seem like. I also see that wages just kind of depend on the level of skill, and as women get more into the field, then they should be able to get paid more.
It's kind of obviously being from the South, there is more of the role that you see just in general of the woman takes care of the house, the woman takes care of the children, but I think it should be both ways. If it's an agreed upon thing that the male is the male or the main income provider compared to the woman, or the other way around, I think it should be either side.
In general, we over politicize women's issues when really they should be dealt with at home and at the core of family life, teaching your sons and daughters the same kind of thing. And I think the further south you go, the more that tradition kind of stands. But I think sometimes women's issues can kind of be misrepresented in the media because we pick a victim instead of addressing the problem.
Finally, the third and final question that I asked my interviewees was if they personally think that we should gender issues, and if they think that it's helping or harming equality for women.
I think that we should, because some issues are issues only for women. They're not issues that men have. So if we're not gendering the issues, then we're not really addressing what the issue is, because there's not a lot of issues that can be neutral? Because
I think we should definitely gender issues because men and women have different physical and emotional capabilities and limits when it comes to different things. For example, like I don't think it's fair that like a man who changed into a woman now competes with women in the Olympics.
I think gendering issues is important because there's different issues that come along with being a woman, and there's different issues that come along with being a man. Some of them more oppressive than others.
So I think that we shouldn't gender issues because gender shouldn't play a part. We're all people. It doesn't matter what your gender is. There are more than two genders. There's more than everything. So everyone shouldn't have to have a decision made on their gender. Everyone should be equal on the same playing field. And I think it does negatively affect feminism because feminism is all about empowering women. And if gender issues are standing in our way and we're gendering things, then how can femininity rise above?
I do believe we share issues. I mean, we're all humans in the same world, and I mean, yeah, it'll help men agree more that sometimes there is something that I wouldn't know as a man that a female might because they have different issues and see the world differently than I do.
Issues should be definitely classified between genders. I don't think that we're all as equal as many people would think. I think that men have issues that women don't have. There's also like fights that women can't get into as men can. I think that women obviously have like different reproductive systems than we do. And I think that in that case it's a little different. Like we can't really be the ones to make the decision about like abortions or pregnancies or however they want to handle it. I feel like that's a women's issue.
I think that gender issuing is obviously needed. One thing that's noticeable in that is just serving in the military. As you hear from multiple generals and officers that there are elite women in the U.S. forces, but when they come into special forces, especially the Navy SEALs, asking a 140-pound to 160-pound woman to put 120 pounds on her back, that's basically asking you to carry yourself double. So I think that, yeah, there is a need for that. And obviously, I mean, there are women that are stronger than other men, and there are, things of that nature. But in the same sense, in the general optic of it all, most men are built to be stronger and to be able to carry more weight and to be operating at a higher force than most women.
I think that issues 100% need to be gendered because if you don't assign a gender to something, then things like transgender people in sports really affect women in a negative way because we don't give women the credit they deserve for things that are women accomplishments. And I think that by not gendering issues is avoiding the problem and trying to appease everyone when really there are things that affect men and women differently and should be viewed as that.